It looks like you wait. Northbound Main, passing 51st Street. Solid red, solid red. Solid red, a lot of traffic. No, we're pretty good. I have scanner issues. I can barely hear what's going on. We can throw rocks at them. It looks like you wait. Whoa, wrong side of the road. Yeah, we're in Carson, on Main, wrong side of the road, just past 223rd Street. You're slowing down a little bit, though. All right, back on the right side of the road. Looks like we're making another turn. I didn't get the name of the street. Residential neighborhood, Carson. Southbound Bolsa. Two 13ths. A lot of traffic on this residential road. Eastbound 213th Street. Oh, he's got his... Yeah, I got you. What's up, Flood? Yeah, still Carson. Residential neighborhood. He was on 213th. It's just you guys are going to be asking me what these street names are, and I have no idea. You want to hear what my scanner sounds like? That's what my scanner sounds like. Timmy, you got him out there? Okay. Yes. I guess we're back out on Carson. Hey, Facebook. We got a couple minutes before we go live. We're in Carson. Pickup truck pursuit. California Highway Patrol. I'm not sure if they're actually still behind him anymore. There they are. It's wanted for speed. He has been speeding, believe it or not. Lights have been off. He's been doing some erratic moves, especially recently since we've been here. He's been on the wrong side of the road a couple times. High speeds, coming up on solid reds. Been threading the needle. So far, we haven't seen any collisions. That's what we like. Full-size pickup truck. Whoa, hard on the brakes. Oh, that was one of those ones. But again, it looks like we are northbound. Wait a minute. What are we northbound? We're westbound. Westbound Carson, and we're approaching Figueroa, so we're getting very close to the 110 freeway. The vehicle's been doing basically what we've been seeing right there. Lights have been off, some very dangerous maneuvers every now and then, but he has not hit anything as of yet. California Highway Patrol, they're the ones in pursuit. It's been kind of down here in the Long Beach, North Long Beach area, made its way from the streets out over to the Wilmington area, then northbound. Right now, I can tell you we're going to be, we're going to be northbound right now. Still in the city of Carson, though. We're on Figueroa. So if we keep following this, we're going to be in the South LA area soon enough. But this pursuit continues. California Highway Patrol on the ground and in the air. Copy all. 15 seconds. Pictures only. And I'll shut the scanner off. Oh, that's not nice. That's not nice. Approaching what? Sil Carson. He's actually going to be eastbound now. Southbound Maine from Del Amo. Wrong side of the road. Oh, that's right. Look at that. He's southbound in the northbound lanes on Main, running red lights. Just saw another black and white right there. Now, California Highway Patrol, they're the ones in pursuit of this vehicle. We just saw that the dangerous maneuver there, southbound Main. The original want, just speeding. So it really got to make you think, why is this guy really running and so desperate to get away? This pursuit's been going on for quite some time. Started way out over in the east areas, North Long Beach area, was on the freeways for some time, but then got on the streets, made his way basically from the 710 all the way out to the over to the Carson area from Long Beach. So this guy's been on the streets for quite some time. Right now, though, still high speeds, running a lot of red lights. There's another one. No lights are on the truck. Original want is speed. And he continues to speed, and he continues to make these dangerous maneuvers. Thank goodness nobody's been hurt so far. No collisions that we know about. It looks like we're making eastbound 220th is what we're hearing right now. Saw that turn. Now, California Highway Patrol, they've been on the ground. They've been in the air. It looks like they've backed off those ground units again, meaning those cars that have been behind it. They've backed off once again, but the helicopter's still above, and they're keeping an eye on it. They've done this for a little bit before, but it seems like every time the units on the ground, the cars back off, this guy actually drives faster.
Yeah, I was just going to say, they're in tracking mode. You don't see lights, there's probably no sirens or lights behind him, just the airship lamp above, but he's still flying, isn't he?
He is really moving out, Rick, and that is what makes this so dangerous. And that's one of the things, the law enforcement, they've got to balance this out. This guy moving so fast, high speeds, small roads, and they're doing all the tactics that they've been trained to do. They back off, maybe let this guy get that little bit of breathing room, but it seems like when the reds and blues in the rearview mirror go away, this guy actually seems to be driving faster. So not sure what the mentality is. Gosh, when do we know what these guys are thinking? There we go, northbound turn. We're in a residential neighborhood. Still in the Carson area, though. You can see some other traffic out here on the road. There's the helicopter that's overhead. That's a sheriff's helicopter. They're using the light. They're keeping an eye on it. But right now, no units are engaged, meaning there's no black and whites behind it, no lights and sirens behind this guy. But this truck's still driving like crazy out here. Sharp turns, high speeds, no lights. It's a real menace for any of the people that are maybe on the streets by this vehicle.
Right, Stu, not just a menace, but very dangerous as we watch this white GMC pickup truck lead CHP on a pursuit. Sheriff's deputies helicopter up above, keeping an eye on this truck right now as they go speeds up to what looks like 50, 60 miles per hour. Even 80 miles per hour, Stu, as Stu just said, through surface streets, residential areas. The original want here is for speed. And we've talked about tactics from law enforcement. Many times, Stu, they'll gauge how they should handle this pursuit, whether or not they think the person is armed. They start weighing the factors against whether or not it's worth it to continue chasing them with the lights and sirens. Right now, we're seeing the tactic we have seen before where they back off. They go in tracking mode, and they allow the person maybe to calm down, maybe slow down to get other people out of danger, and maybe catch up with this person a little bit later if they think the person in the truck is identified. If they think they know who is in the truck or car leading them on a pursuit, they'll go back and get them later and get people out of danger by backing off. Right now, the only thing we know is that this person was wanted for speeding. We don't know if they're armed. We don't know if they know who this person is. But what we do know right now is this person is driving erratically and dangerously on surface streets, blowing through intersections, stop signs, lights, the typical behavior we see when somebody's trying to get away from law enforcement.
So it brings the question, and Stu, I'm not second-guessing the tactics here, but if the idea behind being in tracking mode and not being right on them with lights and sirens is for public safety, you know, my concern is without those lights, the other folks that are driving either behind them, in front of them, or in the opposite lane don't have any warning.
Well, you know, Rick, this is one of those conversations that could just go on and on. You know, this is what law enforcement is dealing with now lately because of the new rulings and the new policies they're trying to put into place because they're trying to keep the public safe. But when do you engage the pursuit? When don't you engage the pursuit? Is it warning the public? Is it just adding the more fuel to the fire for this guy to run? You know, all these type of questions, it's all very editorial. We just, in the helicopter, we just get to be here, see what's going on, but it makes everybody think. Of course, my pilot Tim and I, that's our discussion. We talk about this all the time in the helicopter. What's the better way how to handle this? Sometimes we've actually seen it where the helicopter has shut off the light and they've kind of backed off and the car has blended into the traffic that's around and then slowed down. But a lot of times we're seeing this. This guy just keeps on moving. We're still in the Carson area. We're basically north of the 405. We're going to get you that street. I think we're on Wilmington right now, possibly Delamo, but as I'm looking out the window, I'm thinking we're on Wilmington. But this vehicle's still moving, you know, at much higher than the supposed speed limit. At some points, he was going 80 miles an hour on surface streets. It's a miracle. It's thank goodness nobody's been hurt. This vehicle hasn't collided with anybody. But the watch commanders, they're the ones that, meaning basically the upper command for the law enforcement that's patrolling, they're the ones that make the calls. They have to make these tough decisions. Do we chase him? Do we back off? Do we just let this guy go? But in this case right now, they're following with the helicopter. I don't know if they have a registered owner for the vehicle. We do know its speed. We haven't heard anything about it being a stolen vehicle. But you see these radical turns, you see these high speeds. What's law enforcement to do? Right now, they're just kind of playing the odds, and we're still on Delamo. Extremely high speeds, lighter than normal traffic, I would say. But you can see this vehicle not going to get away tonight. Lights are off, but that doesn't mean it's going to get away. And of course, we're so worried every time he comes up to a red light because there's been so many this evening. There's another one that he just runs right through, just slows down a little bit. Very dangerous situation indeed.
You know, it's problematic, Stu. You brought it up. This person is leading the CHP on a pursuit with the lights off. Some of the roads we're seeing in some of the residential areas are pretty dark. So, again, Rick brought up the point that right now they're in tracking mode, the CHP, so we're not seeing lights and sirens and getting any kind of warning for the people who might be in that area. However, the sheriff's deputy's helicopter is still following this truck from up above, and perhaps that is causing this person to continue engaging law enforcement in this pursuit, even though they don't see the patrol cars behind him actively chasing him right now.
And you know my piece.
Elsa, you know, we've seen it in the past where the law enforcement, they've said, okay, we have a registered owner, we're going to shut off the helicopter light, we're just going to leave. We've seen that in the past. But many times the vehicle doesn't slow down. The media, we stay above, and we keep showing that picture. And you know, I'm sure the discussion that we're having, law enforcement, they're having it as well. And somebody says, you know what, this is too much of a problem. This guy might hurt somebody, and we know about it. We need to do something. Right now, though, we're in this residential neighborhood. He's making these bizarre turns out here. That's the second U-turn he's made on this smaller street. We're going to get you the city here, and if we can get an ear on exactly the name of the street, we'll get that to you as quick as possible. But basically, he's just making these U-turns right now. The helicopter overhead, they've got him lit up, but it does seem like he might know this area, or maybe he's using a GPS. But continuing on now, and residential for sure, and definitely higher speeds.
As you were saying, Stu,
back onto Lamo.
Many departments changing their policies as we go along. It evolves as we learn more about some of the strategies of these drivers. Although I don't know if anybody can really predict how these folks are going to drive, but. Well, this guy now pulling into, it looks like a gas station, going right through, taking the shortcut. But right. Part of the purpose of changing these policies and going in tracking mode is they figure if it's not a felony, if it's not a situation where we're talking about a robbery or somebody who's armed, they'll just collect the license plate information and then show up on their doorstep maybe the next day or later that night.
Well, that's right. And in this case, as far as we know, as far as we understand it, this is just a vehicle that's wanted for high speeds and reckless driving now, and obviously evading. We've watched that. But originally, it was just for higher speeds. So perhaps it doesn't have a license plate on it. Perhaps there's just one of those like dealer tags in the back. We're trying to take a look there and see what we can see. But there might be a reason why they're continuing to engage this pursuit. The way we're seeing it, or what we're understanding, is that the policy changes are not from the law enforcement side, but basically from the public. There's been public outcry that we don't want to have these high-speed chases. We don't want to put the people in danger, and these officers are fueling the fire. Well, who's to say that law enforcement not being there might cause these same problems? Well, I got to let you know, 65 miles an hour right now, southbound Long Beach Boulevard. So we're leaving the Carson area. We're going to be getting into the Long Beach area. Their policy, when we get into their city, might be a little different. We might see some Long Beach PD get behind this vehicle. But it gives you an idea. 65 miles an hour, approaching the 405 freeway right now. Light traffic, thank goodness. This is a bigger vehicle. It's high speeds. He has been very lucky many times getting up to those red lights. He's gotten very close, but we haven't seen any type of contact. But here we go again, another red light, as I understand it, making a turn, though. And now we're on Wardlow. So he's westbound Wardlow, but this vehicle continues to elude the officers, continues to drive these high speeds. That's the 405 right there. Didn't take the 405. But this chase continues basically from the air right now. But, of course, when he goes on the wrong side of the road, runs another red light. All these things, they've got to weigh on law enforcement. They've got to be saying, gosh, we got to get this guy to stop. Another red light right there, solid red. And he just continues on.
Yeah, what you pointed out, Stu, is right. It's so problematic that even though CHP officers have backed off and gave this person some room to maybe slow down, think about what's going on here, maybe pull over, that's not happening. They seem to be aware that the sheriff's deputy's helicopter is up above, and this driver continues to lead law enforcement on high speeds through the streets of Long Beach, Carson, Wilmington on the 710 we've seen tonight at speeds of up to 65, 70, 80 miles per hour. Stu, you called out at one point, driving with the lights off, endangering other drivers on the road, narrowly missing people as he drives on the wrong side of the road, blows through intersections and passes what looked like, did I see that correctly, Stu? That was a patrol car sitting there at the ready at the intersection.
Yeah, but that patrol car was protecting the public.
Right.
That patrol car was there basically to warn the public that this guy was coming. He wasn't engaged in the pursuit, but he just happened to be there, probably 100 miles an hour at one point right now. That's what we're hearing. 100 miles an hour, and you can see that car, that pickup truck, just moving along. Thank goodness there's no other vehicles on the road, or very, very few. Making our way back into the Carson area. Wardlow, basically just south of the 405 right now, will turn back into 223rd Street, but it brings us back into that Carson area. We've seen him there earlier, but we're just passing over Alameda right now, so it gives you an idea where we are. Industrial, thank goodness for that. That means a little bit less traffic out here, but nevertheless, this guy moving along, high speeds. We believe he's in there by himself. So westbound Wardlow coming up on Wilmington, but look, passing people constantly, and they're saying 90 miles an hour is what this guy is doing right now, just getting a little bit wider because we know some more intersections are coming up. They're also talking about that right there, the road work. So it's getting a little bit tighter. But this is so dangerous for the public. Lights on, lights off, I don't think that really adds too much, just makes it a little bit more dangerous. Those high speeds, that's what's going to make it dangerous for the public.
Well, right now, we're not seeing any opportunities for law enforcement on the ground and patrol cars to effectively end this right now. They have decided to take the tracking mode approach here and maybe hoping that this person would come to their senses, pull over, slow down. That's not happening. So, Stu, what could be the next course of action here? They've been following this guy around in roughly the same areas. What are we seeing in terms of maybe spike strips, maybe re-engaging the CHP officers to follow behind with the lights and sirens? What's the next course of action they have available?
Oh, you know, that's the other side of it. It's like, how do they bring these things to an end? You know, we've talked about the spike strips at these high speeds and on these streets, and just the randomness of where this person is going. It makes the spike strips very difficult to deploy and also very dangerous for officers. We've seen how they deploy them. They got to throw them out in front of the vehicle. They have to be relatively close, and you don't know what this person is thinking. You know, he might have no disregard. He might actually use that vehicle to injure an officer. So spike strips, very dangerous option. A pit maneuver, definitely something that you're not, or no officer is going to do at these high speeds with vehicles in the area or not. Looks like we're making a turn again here. We'll get that location here in just a moment. But so what do? They can follow. They can try to intimidate, basically, with the lights and sirens. They can keep the public informed, basically with lights and sirens. Maybe perhaps even get officers in the area to man some of the intersections, especially seeing how this person running those red lights. But that being said, we don't know where he's going. So how do you get somebody in front of him? It is, you know what, it is one of those things. It is above my pay grade to try to figure out this problem. I really don't pity them, but my hat's off to them. It's huge respect how law enforcement deals with so many of these pursuits and how they bring them, so many of them come to an end peacefully. And of course there are those that end very tragically, but for the most part, most of them come to an end peacefully. Law enforcement, they've got it. They're the ones that bring these things to an end for the most part. This one, though, it's a tough one. Moving along right now, it appears we're going northbound. I'm looking out the window. Just coming up on Delamo right now, but this guy has been kind of hanging in this Carson area, high speeds. We're going through another, what it looked like a solid red, 65 miles an hour is what they just called it. So this pursuit continuing on. We'll keep an eye on it. Law enforcement, it's a tough call. Different departments, we're going to be getting into LAPD's area very shortly if we haven't been already. They might try to engage this.
Well, we're keeping an eye on a white pickup that the original want on it was speeding. Law enforcement right now in a tracking mode. In other words, they don't have lights on and sirens behind this truck. But they're keeping an eye on it, of course, from the sky. Their airship up there has a light blasting on it. Stu Mundell is up in Sky 2. Stu, have we gotten on a freeway?
Yes, we have. I was just trying to make sure that I call it correctly. I think we're going to be on the sorry about that. Southbound 405 freeway is where we're at right now. And you can see him getting onto the freeway, and he's really starting to move out now, passing all these other vehicles. You can really kind of see the speed on that truck. Going to be passing Carson right now. We're going to just passing the. It's a landmark. That's the reason why I'm calling it out. That giant IKEA right off the freeway right down here. So he's really moving along. You can see him choosing the lanes back and forth, back onto the freeway. So I'm sorry, it is the 405. And at 100 miles an hour, and they might be getting some units, the ground units back on behind it because he's on the freeway. 100 miles an hour, passing Delamo. I think that is there they go. There they are, the black and whites. Those are going to be the the California Highway PD. Going to be California Highway Patrol. Excuse me. And they're coming up on Delamo right now.
Well, Stu, you called it, although you thought maybe LAPD, if this person gets into that jurisdiction, that they may engage in the chase. But it looks like now CHP still has control of this pursuit, and it looks like they're now getting tired of this guy leading them on this chase. They gave him an opportunity by backing off and turning off the lights and sirens, giving him space, giving him time to make the right decision. Not at all did he ever show any signs of slowing down, not even in the residential areas. We saw the typical behavior we see in pursuits, blowing through stop signs, red lights, intersections, narrowly missing people, driving on the wrong side of the road, never let up on the gas pedal, going 60-plus miles per hour through the residential. And now, Stu, you're saying upwards of 90, 100 miles per hour here on the 405 freeway. The only sort of silver lining we have here is that it's 11:20 at night and there's not a lot of traffic on the freeway, meaning there are far less people being put in danger by this person leading the CHP and sheriff's deputies up above in the helicopter on this pursuit.
You know, Elsa, we've checked every box, and I mean that, like every box that for when we follow these chases. This guy has done everything that we have seen in the past. You know, the high speeds, we're just hoping, just keeping it in our minds, thinking, gosh, I hope he doesn't cause an accident. We've seen him, we saw him cut somebody off earlier on. It might have been before we went live. He just, basically just pushed somebody into the curb. But he's basically on a transition right now. They're even saying it. Just hang on. They're gonna call the transition here in a moment. But it does sound like it's going to be a northbound transition right here. But you saw some other California Highway Patrol, and you can see the vehicle by itself here pretty much. But this vehicle is still moving, sometimes at 100 miles an hour, pushing its way through traffic, lighter traffic for sure this evening, but definitely still very, very dangerous. And this person behind the wheel, we don't know what his mindset is. I mean, he's been driving this kind of speeds for a long time. Might be getting tired. He might start making some bad mistakes. But right now, I can tell you, northbound 710 freeway, looking ahead, this one a little bit more crowded. Now he's actually using the emergency lane to pass, and it's just another box that we're checking off. You know, using the emergency lanes. There he goes. This pursuit continues on northbound 710 right now, basically heading back to the area, basically where we started.
So we want to point out again, and we weren't calling at all in question the strategy of law enforcement. It's a case of you're darned if you do, darned if you don't. When they were just tracking and they were laying back, he was going up to 80 miles per hour on surface streets. When they decided, okay, that's getting too dangerous, we're going to pursue, then he's opened up his speeds on freeways. And you can see riding right behind drivers as he makes the transition onto another road here.
Well, you know, Rick, we would never second guess what those officers do down there. You know, we watch them, we work with them, and I got to tell you, I mean it. It's hats off to those guys. I couldn't, if somebody said, hey, how would you bring it to an end?
You can see our picture just froze up there, and Stu's still there.
Stu, you there?
Go ahead. Oh, back on surface street.
Yeah, we're still back. And you know, we're back on Del Amo, or we were on Del Amo. I think we just made a turn off of Del Amo. Hard on the brakes, getting back into another residential neighborhood. But you can see this time, California Highway Patrol right behind him in numbers. And but this vehicle, keeping those high speeds over here, this might be one of those areas where we were earlier on. I'm looking for a little landmark that we saw earlier on. Look at that. No more officers. They're in the area. So this might be an area that they believe that this person lives in. So that vehicle definitely in this neighborhood, number of law enforcement in the area, and hopefully this is going to come to an end peacefully, and also with no type of injuries or no collisions in any kind of way. Back onto Del Amo Boulevard.
Right, Stu, it does seem pretty interesting that there were a lot of patrol cars in that one particular residential area. It's not uncommon that we see many times in these pursuits that the person leading law enforcement on pursuits really just sticks around their own neighborhood. They know the streets, they know the on-ramps, the off-ramps, they know the lay of the land in their area, and they go back to what they know. So that could be the case. They could know who is behind the wheel. They could know where that truck is registered to, and perhaps that's why they're staking out the neighborhood. But in the meantime, they are turning up the heat. They're making their presence known. CHP, they're making their presence known a lot more than they were just a little bit ago when they tried to give him a chance to make the right decision. Obviously, that wasn't going to happen, so now they're switching to the next strategy. But again, Stu, this guy's not slowing down at all and hasn't shown any signs throughout this entire pursuit that he intends to.
He has not slowed down at all. We're going to be approaching Alameda if we haven't just crossed it right there. The vehicle actually speeding up now. And you're right, you know, a lot of times we see these guys or gals, the people that they're being pursued, go back to the neighborhoods where they feel safe or an area that they believe that they know. But in this case, that might have been what we just saw right there. There was a lot of law enforcement in that neighborhood, lights and sirens. You look at this one right there, making a hard turn right there. It looks like we're going southbound, that's for sure. We'll get the name of the street here in just a second. But you can see that it picked a street that seems to be a little bit less traffic. But definitely really picking up that speed. We're making a big sharp turn right there. That's one of the reasons why I'm staying so wide. But you get an idea with those wider shots how fast this guy is going. Southbound is direction right now. I know they were coming up onto another freeway. If he continues on, I think the 110 is going to be up there in just a second. Industrial, we're going to be getting out. Well, we're not going to make it there. Turning back onto a residential neighborhood right here. But no officers on the ground behind him right now. The helicopter's still above him, and all of a sudden, that truck really slowing down.
Well, you know, driving again without lights, I don't want to try to get into the mind of somebody who's leading a pursuit, but I find it interesting that I can't imagine that driver could feel safe. I mean, they know the airship can spot them. You got street lights, you got headlights. Time to bail,
there
it looks like.
Door.
And here we see it.
Yep, there's a door. And there he goes. He's leaving the truck, and he's off running. You know, that's just not nice. See, that thing's going to crash into somebody's parked car. Anyways, he's out here running in the yards. We're going to keep an eye on it. We're up a little bit higher. They have we've got two helicopters, law enforcement helicopters stacked, so we're a little bit higher than we usually are. We're going to keep an eye on that spotlight, trying to keep an eye on where this guy went. But it does seem like he picked an area that he knew. So we saw it, everybody saw it, red cap, black shorts, this guy got out and ran. Never saw him pop out in that area. The last place we really saw him was right here. So the helicopter overhead, they're doing the same thing. They're going to be calling in units to this area. When an officer already right there. They're keeping an eye on it, but it doesn't seem like he popped out on the other side, so he's got to be somewhere right where that light is. But it shows you that officers may not have been right behind him, but they were definitely in the area for when this moment happens, they'd be close by. And this is what they're calling setting up a containment now. They're going to lock down this area. Other officers will show up, and they'll basically out or try to find him. Yeah, it is. It's just going to be waiting it out now. Perhaps this person knows somebody that's in this area, but they're definitely right now. They're bringing in the units. So we're hearing street numbers like 213th. It was one of the streets out here. So they're basically they're bringing the units in. They're going to start locking this place down, and they're going to start searching for this guy. But it definitely came to an end. Thank goodness no civilians were injured. And that guy basically just jumped out. They said something right now that they might have some movement underneath the tree. So we're going to keep an eye on it and an ear on it. And if this guy pops out, we'll definitely let you guys know. Hey, are we still up on the web? Okie dokie. Well, Websters, I'll make an effort to see what I can see what you guys were saying. I hope you were kind. Yeah, this was an unusual one for sure. What's up? What's up, Timmy? You Ferris Bueller'd it? Rode the whip? You know, I just because of the time and stuff, I was supposed to say howdy to Bryson. I was but I don't know if Bryson's going to be around. I know it's kind of silly, and I'm just doing it because somebody that's on the net was helping me out with something else and kept saying, you know, you got to give a shout out to Bryson. So I did. But yeah, this guy got out and ran. You saw it. The truck didn't hit. Hit any parked cars, which is good, is amazing. That's what I was saying when I made that comment. That's not nice, you know. Usually they just let them roll and they crash into somebody's parked car, and that's just not cool. But you know, a good way to make something not happen is have me say it might happen, and then it just won't. We see that all the time. You know, in my mind, I'm keeping a running tally, and I think maybe I can bring things to an end by saying, oh, this is going to go forever. Where are we? We're going to be in the, still going to be the Carson area. I heard him talking about 213th Street. I heard him talking about Wilmington. So we're somewhere right in there, residential neighborhood. We saw that guy just jump out of the pickup truck, run, and the last place we saw him was right in there. I just got to give props to Timmy, my pilot. We made the move as quick as we could. A lot of times people... I get that. I get it. People will say like, "Oh, well, you get over your helicopter, go faster." You know, look. Believe it or not, we are moving very, very quickly. It is just an angle. It's just the way the shot is. Just the way it looks. It might look like we're moving slowly, but we're not. Trust me, we are moving out. These officers right there, I believe they're going to be California Highway Patrol. Might be Sheriff's Department. We don't really see that type of gun-ho, let's just run in here and find out, you know, see the guys there. But I'm glad they're doing it because it may bring this to an end quickly. We saw them try the doors on that house here just a moment ago. You got to wonder, I mean, if this is your house and all of a sudden you got helicopters and flashlights and all that activity going on, I mean, I'm not that guy that's going to go, you know, go grab the gun, go grab the rifle and go stomping out there. But you just got to wonder what the homeowner's doing right now. He's got to be wondering what the heck is going on out there. So I'm sure that's something that the law enforcement is considering as well. Seems like whatever the deterrent is right there, the bad guy basically got over that very quickly, and maybe he locked it. You know, who knows? Maybe he knows this place. Maybe he knew the key was under the mat. But at any rate, these guys still making an effort. They're going in there. There you go. There you go. That's thinking outside the box and onto the wall and over the wall. I just don't want to see this guy fall. That's that's not cool. Man, that guy, he looks like me trying to get over a wall. That's there he goes. Whoa. Using a little bit of a different camera system this evening. It's kind of a loner deal here. So whoa, we're gonna lose it. There we go. You know, for anybody that's out there saying, "Oh, you lost it," that was actually a save. Trust me, for this type of camera, that was a save. So, anyways, we're still keeping an eye on it. We got an ear on it as well. They're looking around for him. I just heard something about the word driver pop out, so maybe they got eyes on him. Let's see. We're looking around. The last place we saw him. Oh, they're just asking for the physical address for where the last place they saw him. The last place they saw the driver. That's what they're saying. But yeah, I appreciate the people still hanging on here. Jimmy, hey, what's happening? keeping you folks up in the middle of the night. Not just the people here in in Carson, but you folks on the web as well. Leanne, I don't know. We haven't. It's been a long time since we saw that. Dana, for sure. Well, now we know. I wasn't sure. I really wasn't. But yes, we don't want to wake up Bryson for this, for sure. You know, you guys are 100% right. I got to tell you, 100% right now. You know that we don't know whose house this is, and that's the thing. You know, you don't want to scare those residents. And if it is, you know, my God, if that was my parents' house, I'd be flipping out right now. You know, you don't want to see anybody get hurt, and especially not somebody innocent living in this house, not knowing what's going on. But definitely. They're looking around. They're trying to figure this out. You know, the other thing is too, and I don't see anybody commenting on it, is if the truck isn't stolen, which we don't think it is, there's the truck. They got this guy's truck, so they got the registered owner, and they, you know, either he's going to we got to go to work. Go ahead. Well, we're pulling the plug. All right, guys, we're pulling the plug. We'll find out what happens maybe tomorrow. Hopefully somebody will text me and say, oh, this is what happened. And so I don't have to wake up at 8 o'clock in the morning and dig around and make phone calls and texts, but that would be cool. Good night, everybody on the web. I'm showing you beautiful downtown from Carson. I'm going to tell my buddy Timmy, it's time to go home if you're not in that loop. And we're making our way back to Van Nuys. Thanks for the love. You know, we are all about the instant stuff, and I wish we haven't had a pursuit where we haven't been in a show in a long time, so I haven't been able to do the internet stuff. I want to do the golf pursuit really, really bad, and if you don't know what that is, you guys got to wait for it. But we're on our way home, and we're knocking it down. Go ahead, TOC. I know what you guys want. We're going to make it happen for you. All righty.